comes out of a big government era to begin with. Okay, so I don't think he is, from a worldview standpoint, I don't think that he is as hostile to resistant to debt as a construct as many of us natively on the right probably are. Number one, okay. Then number two, so I think that's probably his worldview default to begin with. And then number two, remember he's been a global tycoon. He's not paying cash out of pocket for all these hotels and golf courses he's built. These things are all getting financed, investors, okay? So he's used to a certain amount of red as just part of his baseline financial, enterprises. Okay, so I just think from a worldview standpoint, he's just not, from the Milton Friedman school that we all natively on the right grew up, watching the clips on the Donahue show or reading his books. Okay. Number two, he's also president and likes to get votes. And no one, I hate to agree with Mitch McConnell about anything, but when he once said no one's ever lost an election for spending too much money, he's actually right, unfortunately. Okay? So you throw in Trump's worldview bias, where he's not as sensitive to debt as the rest of us are on the right. And then number two, throw in the fact he's got to get the votes of people, and the people don't seem to be voting a lot for taking less from government. Has that been a reoccurring thing we've been voting for that I've just missed on that? No? Yeah, not a lot of people volunteering to take less from government. Okay, so that means then if we're not going to cut spending, what has to happen? Revenue has to go up, right? So he's looking for liquidity. He's looking for investment. All right, he's looking for incoming revenue. And a lot of Americans, upper middle class Americans, are sitting on billions of dollars of liquidity called their homes that they can't sell or they can't refi because of where interest rates are. So that is what Trump is absolutely so concerned about. Where this matters, and your post ties into that. So I buy and agree.
And we already established yesterday. The left's political bench is so bad that Hunter Biden is holding court right now, which brings me to the point I made earlier on the show. Who is more?
Is he the Michael Avenatti of this cycle?
So who's Jerome Powell?
Except he went to prison first.
I thought he was in prison.
He went to prison. Yeah, Avenatti got elevated to a candidate, then went to prison.
Yes.
Police reported ahead.
Oh no!
Biden's already faced prison, and then he'll become a candidate. Just the opposite order. Anyway, finish your point, Tyler. Sorry.
So this is why I don't think Jerome Powell staying there and holding the line and giving Democrats a chance to catch their breath. I mean, ultimately, listen, I don't know enough about Jerome Powell, but if this guy just decides, and we've talked about this position before, it's known as the most powerful non-elected position in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Look how long Steve coming up. I mean, how long was Greenspan?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Much of our childhood.
Yeah, and he was always like some kind of Svengali shaman over there. I just don't know.
Mr. Andrea Mitchell, they were married for many years. Maybe they ended up staying married.
Yeah, this is why, I think he's got it.
Tega Cay, South Carolina.
Is there that will reward him in terms of power, riches, whatever, to stay and hold the line.
Tega Cay.
Great, Steve. And so is our questioner. If you unleash these gates and everybody gets to be groovy, just like Trump wants, Pax Romana.
Well, it's not the Federal Reserve. It's the Democrat. It's the Democrat get out the vote reserve. That's essentially what you're saying.
Oh, I am.
Okay, so so he's a traitor then.
Just to your point, I don't know enough about the man and his machinations. He's more like filling a placeholder. Maybe you know more about.
Well, you know what? Here's what I think we can definitively know. The guy oversees a fiat currency printing press.
Correct.
So as just a state of being, he doesn't care about debt. Fundamentally. See what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Now, there might be an amount of debt he cares about that we could, critical mass, if we give him some benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. There might be an egregious amount that he does suddenly care about, okay? But if you're overseeing a fiat currency printing press, and that is your job, okay? Money that is not tied, money for nothing, like Dire Straits once saying, all right, tethered to nothing, valued at nothing other than what we claim by fiat it is. If that is where you work, then just as a state of being, you have really no hyper concern about debt.
And then if you
Okay.
like a lot of these,
So therefore, the only reasons he would be doing these would be political reasons. And so what you just described is a guy who's willing to essentially hold the economy back for his own political machinations. That he's a traitor. Then.
a lot of people just don't like Trump just because they don't like.
So
they've seen
treason
that,
it
and
is.
they took that. I mean,
So we're back to the opening segment. Start making examples out of
Is he-
people. Then.
I'm basically saying he's basically like a federal judge. He could.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. So treason it is. Make an example out of somebody then. Otherwise, we're just going to have treason upon treason.
Agree.
With all these captured institutions like the Federal Reserve, right?
All right, I think that's going to do it until overtime.
All right, we'll get to the rest of your submissions in overtime. Let's find out what Daniel Horowitz thinks about several different things when he joins us in his weekly slot here. Coming up in just a matter of moments. Stay tuned. Hey folks, our friends at Preborn want to say thank you for all of your great generosity to them and just how much of an impact that our partnership between Preborn and the Blaze has had. For example, last year Preborn saved about 70,000 babies, saved them from their moms, basically, and then maybe went a long way to saving their moms' souls at the same time. And there's just no way that happens without the generosity of our audience here at the Blaze. So let's do even more because more is needed. Unfortunately, hey, it's great. Celebrate every single Planned Parenthood clinic that closes. I saw one in Tyler, Texas closed. I think it was yesterday. So celebrate all victories, okay? But also recognize too, though, that there's a market reality here. We're now
I almost missed my turn, but I didn't. I got it. I told myself I'd never do stuff like that. Sorry.
we're actually seeing a
That was totally on accident.
an increase in abortions.
That was by accident. That's what I get for not looking at my navigation. Let me check that real quick. Sorry about that, y'all.
Preborn.com/Steve. Or you can dial pound 250, say the keyword baby on your mobile phone. Just keep it even simple. Preborn.com/Steve. And thanks again on behalf of Preborn and the Cause of Life for your generosity.
Sorry, everybody.
All right, Steve, just keeping abreast to all the grift.
Speaking of that,
Busy job.
It is. It is. The grift is on. It's on your screen. Indeed, Glenn Fry. All right, so let's get to that because we were having a discussion at the top of the show today. And I want you to look at this purely politically, not necessarily on the merits, okay? It's very clear. Let me lay out
Watch out. Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
the argument and then I'm going to hand it over to you. We believe on our show it is very clear these leaks, well, not even leaks, they're just absolute just bomb drops from Tulsi Gabbard were specifically timed because of the amount of negative energy surrounding the White House with the Epstein, the failure to fulfill the campaign vows on Epstein. And that
Like you and I talked about last week.
last week, there is a significant part of the MAGA base. At times it's frustrated me. It's really frustrated you because we're ideologues. But there is a significant portion of the MAGA base that really thinks that the corruption in the swamp has to be exposed before we can even get to the policy debates guys like you and I want. It's a red line for them. And Epstein is one of the top names on their list. And they were not getting what they wanted. And the negative energy was causing the White House to even get off message and not even hold press conferences with foreign leaders without being asked about it. So we don't believe it's any coincidence that this is when they went to who really orchestrated the Russia collusion stuff with Tulsi. Okay? By the way, I also have a very hard time believing that somehow the Democrats left complete, total documentation linking Obama to this intact, but then they doctored and purged the Epstein files. That's weird to me, but I'll let that one slide. Okay? So I then said, because that's the case, this is not, I don't think it's a diversion as much as it's a redirection of that energy, trying to give that energy another high value target that doesn't come with the collateral damage that maybe going into the Epstein, waters does. Then you can't just do this for subcommittee talking points. You can't do this so Grift Turd 45 can earn this $10K for engagement farming this month. Right? You can't have the president out there tweeting treason. You can't have Tulsi Gabbard out there referring things to criminal for prosecution of Pam Bondi. that these just cannot just be, you know, Omarosas and Scaramucci hirings like the first term. Like this people are taking this way too seriously now, and desperately want to see accountability for the scams of the last 5 years. And if they have to know this, all right, which is why I do think we're going to see some kind of indictment. We're going to see some kind of arrest. May not be Obama, maybe it's John Brennan, somebody within that's kind of a symbol of all this. All right. Todd's not so sure that that's the case. And I'm like, if they don't do this, if this is where they redirected people's energy to,
Look
and they
at
don't
this.
deliver, yikes.
that.
Okay. So politically, I'm not asking you to give your opinion on what they do, because it's unknown. That's unknown. As much as what happens politically if this just ends up being nothing more than what these have typically been for the last few years. Online engagement farming cause celebs with no real substance at all. What's the political fallout of this?
I don't know, Steve, I'm kind of confused about the question because this is what we did the last 2 weeks about Epstein being the red line, and it was for sure the red line. And I told you, we live in a news cycle where it's so quick they're going to go on to something else. And they did. And Congress literally broke its session and didn't do H.R. 2 just to get away from Epstein. And you know, Mike Johnson's not in the Epstein files, okay? So it's not, he didn't do it for himself. That's not why he did it. And the base, whatever you want to call that and whatever it's composed of, seems to be fine with it. So I don't see how this is really any different. I'll just add to that luggage. It's dropping now. I mean, I've known about this for a while. It's been percolating the news, but Microsoft was given responsibility to a lot of military secrets that had to do with nuclear databases, and Chinese engineers were given access to it. The bottom line is, you look at that, you look at Las Vegas and all these things you wanted to find out about, you look at the Butler attempted assassination, you look at the FBI whistleblowers, you look at COVID, nobody has been arrested. So I think this is just another story, and we're going to have another one, and another one. I think the interesting thing that has happened in the news is that one thing that has changed, I've noticed, and I know it's a little bit of a different point, but I think it answers your question. I would say since Elon took over Twitter, I don't think it's causation, but roughly in the last maybe 2 years, we've moved on from this emotional indulgence. Remember where we would milk a story to the gates of hell, and it would like take over your life for weeks on end. Then it became the opposite, where we just live in this rapid fire of crazy things happening. And not just things that we want to dwell on, but even things the left would, like some of these shootings, you know what I mean, where they would milk it for gun control. We've had a lot of them the last couple of years, and it just fell flat. They didn't do anything with them. It just one to another. I don't have a reason for it, but maybe it's just the human psyche has been so exhausted. I don't think any one story seems to gain traction to become like a George Floyd level policy changer, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I don't think we could possibly have one of those. I don't think it's even possible. We just would never be able to generate the critical mass institutionally that their side can, because they've captured every institution. So, I mean, literally, Jesus has to return, or a mushroom cloud. Either there needs to be an orb with, a single-eyed alien saying, "Take me to your leader," coming down Jacob's ladder from the heavens. Jesus returns, or a mushroom cloud. Those are the only. I don't think we could possibly generate that, no matter what the story is. But what I'm really talking about is within our own ecosystem. Do you think we can generate those kinds of stories or not?
No, Steve.
So
working.
So you think that could they just betray us on the accountability front systemically, no matter what, never deliver? I'm asking. I don't know.
If you're living with aches and pains, especially if they're frequent and nagging and relentless, I want you to take a moment and think back to the last time you really felt good. Can you even remember what it felt like? Now here's even a more important question. What would you give to go back to feeling like that again? Maybe it would just be nice to take a stroll with your loved one. play with your grandchildren. I've suffered from persistent, crippling pain almost all the time for about 5 years. When I started taking Relief Factor, I took it because my wife made me start taking it. I didn't think it would work for me, yet here I am today, virtually pain-free, doing the things I love to do, all thanks to my wonderful wife and Relief Factor. I love that it's not a drug, but it was developed by doctors, and about 70% of the people who try it go on to order more. Are you part of that 70% that can get your life back? Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be to order the 3-week quick start for only $19.99.
Earl? Yeah, I already work tomorrow. That's good. This was my,
like that.
my quiet protest back in the days when we used to pre-record some shows around here. So I already work tomorrow.
And of course,
you imagine if the Democrats took over the House? And this is why you're seeing all the news about Republicans trying to do unprecedented mid-decade redistricting in several states to squeeze out more seats. So I think there's always going to be fodder of, this sort of political fentanyl to keep people pumping. So at a monetary level, there's always going to be what to monetize, and at an intellectual level, there's always a way you can come in front of me and say, look at this success. The administration's always going to be doing some good things. They've been cutting some, federal agencies, which is good. There's always going to be, but the Democrats, there's always going to be other stories. I don't know how to break the cycle. I'm struggling with this myself.
How much of this is just because we're in a cold civil war?
It's because we're in a cold civil war,
and people just think existentially
one side has certain weapons.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come to a natural detente that two equal sides would push. We're talking about milking news stories. So with like a Floyd thing, the other side has in law, policy, and culture a ready-to-go, grab-and-go movement to utilize a cultural flashpoint to achieve certain outcomes. We clearly don't have that. So
Watch out. Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
you don't achieve resolution. And that's my point. So the more... Now, I'm not saying people are going to take it sitting down. I'm saying those closest to the political orbit will move you on to the next thing, like they seamlessly did with Epstein when we were sure they couldn't do that. And the people a little bit more distant from it on the right are going to continuously get more black-pilled. But again, it's not leading to like, oh, we're going to have a bunch of primaries or this or that or change. It's just going to be in a very seething, unhealthy way.
Now let's talk about the merits of things. I'm a big believer that if some examine out of somebody, that whenever you have a duopolistic system, whether it's the U.S., the Soviet Union, okay, whether it's Republicans and Democrats, yes, there's a uniparty, aspect to it as well. But the majority of the people that call themselves one of those two do so for very serious reasons. They're not living in D.C. partaking of the uniparty. They believe that either one of these two vehicles is the existential, manifestation of their value system. Okay. Whenever you have a duopolistic system, you have two options: tyranny or mutually assured destruction. All right. And without mutually assured destruction, you're always going to have tyranny because there's going to be one side that's invariably going to say there's no limits on how far I can push back on you, press against you. I don't want you. I mean, it's existential if you are in my place, and I can't let that happen, so I'll do whatever I want to you, right? And I'm a big believer that whatever, if we're not in a zero-sum game politically now, we're in the final stage before things go zero-sum. And if we don't create a Reagan-level mutual assured destruction, the crazies in the Kremlin are going to fire missiles. They're going to think they could win a nuclear war. And the proto versions of shooting at our candidates, not just Trump, how about at a suburban DC ball field, okay? Putting our people in prison or threatening them with that. We're gonna make you take a poison that we know doesn't work, that our own CDC director admitted on national TV a month before the edict doesn't work. We're gonna make you take it to work for a Fortune 500 company. We're gonna deploy the largest single censorship industrial complex in American history. We're gonna permit the
Police reported ahead.
largest invasion of the homeland in the history of the United States of America. These kinds of things, if they go unpunished, they're not going to stop themselves over there. It'll just become more renegade, more ruthless. And then eventually we'll be out of options to contain this aggressively but peaceably, and things will go zero-sum real quick. And we have got to restore mutually assured destruction. I think that's one of the primary goals of this Trump presidency, is to restore that. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll give you my thoughts, and then what I think politically is or isn't happening. I obviously agree with and gain of function. They were on the books. People clearly violated them. We're not seeing interest. I know people with January 6th. I have friends in the Justice Department that have a lot of evidence of individuals who violated a lot of laws to do what they did in January 6th, and there doesn't seem to be an interest. Meaning they did want to pardon the defendants, but they didn't want to go on offense, to your point. And I want to really focus on January 6th because I think if
2 minutes, you get the last 2 minutes of the show. Go ahead. Go.
Yeah, if you just sort of just let it go, you understand what's happening on the backside of this presidency when Democrats take over. That's going to be the next level. So you're not going to have your mutual assured destruction. So that's why I think they were happy just to pardon people, which is nice, but you got to go on offense. So I absolutely agree with that. As far as what's going to happen, I think there's a big generational divide. What you're saying that it's going to well up at some point and there's going to be an unhealthy way of dealing with it, it's got to be. I don't know how long it's going to take because it's a younger generation. Every time I turn on Fox News, which is, where the majority of, or the core of Republican voters still are, but maybe not for much longer, it's very much white pill. I mean, I turned it on for 3 seconds because I was in a hotel room, and both the content and the ads were over AI data centers and how amazing AI is, and there's no inflation, and Hunter Biden's profanity-laced interview. So that's definitely not going to spawn a civil war. I mean, that's designed to white pill people, and the people that I think would do what you're talking about and are going to get frustrated. I agree. It's gonna well up for a while. I don't know when that ticking time bomb is going to go off, but it's pretty scary.
Good to see you, my friend. Thanks as always. Take care.
Take care.
With that, gentlemen, your thoughts in the final minute before we get out of here. What Daniel has said.
Well, obviously Daniel's feeling what I'm smoking over here. You should be right, Steve. You are in terms of either you implement justice or you will get steamrolled in the end, and maybe not you, just you, but all those you love coming down the pike generationally. We just don't think that way. We're way too individualistic and selfish these days, and that's what I'm worried about.
Do you think we should just adopt an official show position that we're mentally, spiritually moving to Missouri, and just
You have to show me.
you got to show me with any of these apparent Rubicons, red lines with accountability, like actual accountability, that we just don't expect to see it until we see it.
I don't have a problem with that. But to be fair, Tulsi Gabbard dropping these things on the desk of the Attorney General is a step. We said this yesterday. It is a definitive. Have not seen before.
What did I ask you after the first segment of the show? When was the last time you heard or saw an official statement from Barack Obama
Right.
responding to a riff from Trump or
Right.
anything like that?
Right.
I can't think off the top of my head.
I agree. You don't typically see that. I agree. So we shall see. We're going to stick around, finish, buy, sell, or hold for subscribers. BlazeTV.com/Dace. For the rest of you, back at it again tomorrow, noon to 2 Eastern, right after Glenn Beck, right here on Blaze TV. Until then, Romans 8:28.
12 more miles.
Is me.
How's everybody doing?
Individual results vary.
Hey, it's Fly Todd from V101.9. Have you been injured in an accident, maybe on the road or at work? Well, listen, I have good news. Speaks Law is here to help. Clark Speaks of Speaks Law is a personal injury attorney handling
Look at this,
mostly car
Delaney.
accidents, slip and falls, and workman's compensation. Give them a call today. Get a free consultation. Listen, you won't pay a dime, not a penny, unless Speaks Law wins your...
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt.
Yeah, it should be a good time. You know what's interesting in our artist bio segment? We've had Keith Smith, actor, director.
Right.
Problems, kidney failure, or take CYP1A2 inhibitors. Ask your doctor about Veoza. To learn more,
Living in North Carolina, make it your nature to trash your trash. Leave it more beautiful than when you found it. And we will all have more reason to love NC. Litter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and Visit North Carolina. Part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, in cooperation with this station.
I'm not just the son of a plumber. I'm the younger brother of other sons of a plumber. Gives a whole new meaning to School of Hard Knocks. It's why they still prank me by running off with Dad's Kennedy toolbox. Point is, if you're good at what you do, you always learn from the best. It's what Dad did with George Brazil, a legend in residential plumbing.
like zero thought went.
I repaired a subpoena, less credence, less power than a criminal subpoena. So congressional subpoenas sort of get lesser consideration because even though she... All pros. The other thing is...
No, it's just like... It doesn't make sense.
That kind of only counts as
That
one.
maybe building a home in 24 hours with no manpower. Grammar with...
Yeah.
Oh, that's a double clap. A sophomore guy scoring with a senior female did not happen often in high school. It was usually the other way around, where the girls like to date the older guys.
Yeah.
So where did you do it? Can I ask? Was it in a high school parking lot?
No.
I thought you were like asking where.
But first, what if the reason your relationships kept ending is actually you? We have this fan member, Lisa, who after...
Leave you alone, ghost.
Share a pit using hashtag CheerWineSummer or hunt down bonus codes. Enter early, enter often. This week, enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the best pro baseball hockey...
Good morning, everybody. How are you? How's everybody doing this morning?
And work experience. Our trained
transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. Classes start August 13th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Shell.
The Mecklenburg County Solid Waste Program wants to remind you to always recycle right. Place all of your recycling loose, clean, and dry in your bin. Never place your recycling in plastic bags. For more information, visit wipeoutwaste.com. That's wipeoutwaste.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Add sweet, tangy flavors. There's nothing like it. I love the garden herb ranch sauce, but if you want a little bit more kick in the spicy side, you can mix it with buffalo sauce. Dipping them in our sauces, it is perfection.
It's the summer of Chick-fil-A chicken strips and sauces. Order now.
Fuck Chick-fil-A.
Testimonials.
If you're injured in a wreck or at work,
Who speaks for you? We do.
Speaks Law Firm. Presented by Charlotte Eye, Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates. Here's your Channel 9 Severe Weather Center 9 forecast.
Good morning, I'm John here. I'll just keep Monday, well, a little warmer out there today. Although it feels pretty good this morning, we'll bounce back in the mid-90s this afternoon, a touch more humidity. But the big heat's coming in this weekend. We'll be in the upper 90s tomorrow, likely near 100 with higher heat index for the weekend.
Hey, Charlotte, it's Miss Jessica from Power 98. Let's read together. Visit power98fm.com/read together Charlotte today to inspire young minds and boost development.
This hour is sponsored by Speaks Law Firm. Are you unable to work because of an accident? Call Speaks.
Begging for money. Begging for money.
Free consultation. Speaks Law says, who speaks for you? We do.
Madhouse question of the day, hashtag MHQOTD. Make sure you slide by social media, slide by the hashtag, and answer that Madhouse question of the day. And the question of the day is, what is something that gives you a headache? Just want to know, man, what is something that gives you a headache? Hit the hashtag, man, and slide by there and answer the question. It's the Nosy Neighbor News. Quickie. Y'all know, man, these folks got to get it. No cap. Y'all know the Nosy Neighbor News is on the way. Gonna tell you about that boy Tekashi 6ix9ine. He in some trouble again. Cardi B, she got a little bit of trouble too. And of course, coming up in your Nosy Neighbor News, we got a new couple alert. New couple alert. Well, they've been a couple, but new couple news. How about that? Keep it tapped in to your Nosy Neighbor News. Coming up next, man, at 7:24. I want to know what it is. That's your Nosy Neighbor News. It's that Lotto somebody. Talk to him, Lotto.
More time than it took to find Nemo, his porcelain teeth were found behind the porcelain throne.
You know, girls, this moment is totally like a cash-out refinance. With home values through the roof, most of them.
Two more miles and I have to make a left, so ride with me. How's everybody doing? I wanted the news, but I don't want to hear the music. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Car feels a lot better. A lot better. I'm so happy I fixed my relays. I got a ticket. Oh well. I'm waiting for that song to be over. if you can even call it a song. I hope everybody's doing good. In a mile, I gotta make sure I'm going the right ways. There we go. That's how you do that.
Was based on the fake DNs and stuff to use to help Trump win. Well, it would turn out CrowdStrike was running that, started it for years on the show. They testified under oath and basically admitted they had no idea if there was a hack. They don't know how these documents got out. And if there was a hacking, they don't actually know if Russia did it or who did it. So what did the Russians have? This is incredible, folks. That's why I'm doing it in every hour. The Russians possessed, this is intel that's now been declassified by Tulsi Gabbard. DNC, that's Democrat Party, communications that Clinton was suffering from, quote, folks, she was as mad as a hatter. Uncontrolled fits of like anger, aggression, and cheerfulness. If you had that problem, and God bless you, hard for you to hold down a job, especially when the only way to treat it apparently was, quote, heavy tranquilizers, unquote. The actual intelligence reads, Clinton was placed on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. And while afraid of losing, she remained, quote, obsessed with a thirst for power. Oh, that sounds terrifying, doesn't it? The whole thing. Heavy tranquilizer. Folks, was she tranked out when those men died at Benghazi?
Yes.
Desperate for help of any kind? And the lights were just turned out?
Clinton lied, people died.
At the White House on Team Obama, and they all went to sleep? All those guys died? Was she tranked out? Was she knocked out? Wow. So this is what the Russians had on Hillary. Again, they didn't use it. They saved it for when she was elected. Why? Because there was no plot to try to get Trump elected. That was not a thing. Meanwhile, overnight, and this should have happened a long time ago, Trump White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt demanding that the lying media return their Russiagate Pulitzers.
And reporters at legacy outlets, some of which are sitting in this room today, like the